Hello GHSA umpires, this is Patrick Farber with Umpire Classroom and GHSA Baseball Umpire Development. In this video, we're going to review the Georgia state adoptions that we use when playing under the NFHS rules. So to make sure we all start on the same page, in Georgia, we play high school baseball using the National Federation rules. The NFHS Baseball Rules book is organized using 10 rules with, in addition to that, suggested speed-up rules, rules by state adoption, and this year's points of emphasis. In this video, we aren't going to review the 10 rules, but we are going to go over the speed-up rules and the rules by state adoption, along with some of the GHSA rules that are not listed anywhere inside the NFHS rulebook. If you are looking for the 2022 points of emphasis, we cover that in another one of our videos, which you can find in the links below. So let's talk about where you can find these rules. You can find the GHSA amendments to the baseball rules on the GHSA.net website and looking at the GHSA Constitution and bylaws. The baseball bylaws start on page 47 and include sections on both the state adoptions that we use as well as weather policies for GHSA baseball. You can find the GHSA Constitution by going to GHSA.net. From there, go to Inside GHSA and select Constitution. Inside of this, you'll find the download for this year's Constitution. Let's review the speed up rules that we use here in the state of Georgia. By looking through the GHSA bylaws and Constitution, you'll find that we only utilize one of the two speed up rule options. For GHSA games, we will utilize the courtesy runners rule and will not use the after putouts rule. Be sure to familiarize yourself with the courtesy runner rules. Those are very commonly used in our baseball games. Next, let's review the rules by state adoption. We'll go through all the rules as listed in the NFHS rulebook, and I'll tell you which ones you need to know as a GHSA umpire and which ones you can cross out and ignore. The first of these rules is Rule 1-2-9. This rule covers double first bases. You can cross that out. We do not use that here in Georgia. The second is Rule 1-4-4, which covers special uniform patches for the players. You can ignore that one as well. The next one, as we already covered, discusses speed up rules that states have the option of implementing. We will use that as we covered previously. The next rule is 4-2-2, which discusses run rules and mercy rules. Again, you can find this in the Constitution baseball section under section F. Now, the NFHS rules discuss a 10 runs after 5 innings run rule, but if you go into our Constitution, you will see that the state of Georgia has also implemented a 15-run lead after 3 inning automatic run rule. Again, you can find this under the baseball section of the Constitution, Rule F, Section 1. The next rule by state adoption is Rule 4-2-4, which covers game-ending procedures. Now, this rule is listed right below that in the GHSA Constitution. I won't cover all of that here, but you can read it for yourselves inside of the Constitution. The next rule is Rule 4-3-1, which covers games ending in a tie. In GHSA baseball, we don't allow games to end in a tie, so you can go ahead and cross out this rule. Then we have Rule 4-4-1, which says that states can implement an automatic forfeit for teams arriving late. This is covered in the GHSA Constitution, but not specifically under the baseball section. Instead, GHSA 2.63E1 states, if 30 minutes have passed since the scheduled start time and the host school has not heard from the visiting team, then the game can be a forfeit. The next rule, 4-5-1, covers protests. Just know that in the state of Georgia, the GHSA bylaws do not allow for protests in any sport. Finally, Rule 10-1-9, uniforms, gives each state association the ability to enforce their own uniforms for officials. You can find the GHSA umpire uniform inside the GHSA officials handbook. Now, let's cover some additional GHSA rules that you need to know that aren't covered or mentioned inside of the NFHS Baseball Rules book. First is the game manager. This is covered in the GHSA Constitution under Rule 2.64. It notes that the host team must provide a game manager for every game. It's important that as umpires, we ask at the plate meeting who our game manager is and if they have a lightning detector. The next amendment is the free substitution rules that we use in sub-varsity games. Now, these rules you can find in the GHSA bylaws under the baseball section, and note that they're only implemented if both coaches agree to them. While this is listed as one rule, you can really think of it as two options that the coaches can implement. The first is that they can use free substitution. By this, they still have to use a batting order and can still only use at most up to 10 players, but unlike under regular rules, if a player starts in the game, is pulled, then re-enters the game, and then gets pulled again, they can still bring that player back into the game. The free substitution places no limits on how many times a player can enter the game. The second part of this rule is the implementation of the extra hitter. This is not allowed under NFHS rules, but for our sub-varsity games, if both coaches agree to it, we'll let them use an extra hitter to let another player get at-bats in that game. Finally, our last amendment to the rules has to do with weather. First, you need to know that we have a 2-hour maximum weather delay. This is done using a cumulative timer that counts up anytime we are in a weather delay during that game. You should note that there's no exceptions to this, and if the first game of a doubleheader is delayed for more than 2 hours, we can't start the second game of the doubleheader after that. Now, one thing to keep in mind as an umpire with this is that the weather delay timer stops once the weather clears up, and any time spent trying to prep the field does not count towards that 2-hour delay. The second part of this rule is that umpires must wait at least 30 minutes before terminating a game due to poor weather. So there you have it, the rules you need to know to be successful as an umpire for GHSA baseball. Again, you can find all this information on the GHSA.net website, and we'll have it linked in the video description below. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the field.